ultimately killed the engine. Technically, the engine is just a part. It's a collection of parts, but it is just a part, and I can change parts. All right, what is up, YouTube? We are currently heading out to the shop. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I just got off work. So my goal for today's video is to try and get the 350Z into the shop so we can tear into it and tear it apart. But let me show you what's holding us up from tearing into it. All right, guys, so we're out in the shop. It's a garage, but I like to call it a shop. As you can see, this car is far from put together. So the car is a 2012 Malibu, and I bought it back in high school, and I drove it for about 100,000 miles, and it wasn't a bad car, but I at the time wasn't working on vehicles and was having my oil changed at Jiffy Lube or something like that, Mr. Lube, and they weren't putting the right oil in this vehicle, and it actually caused some major problems. It ultimately killed the engine, and I was looking at rebuilding this engine, but I don't have a lot of experience working on cars. I know how to replace parts and things like that, and that's what led me to buy this engine. Technically, the engine is just a part. It's a collection of parts, but it is just a part, and I can change parts. I can take stuff apart and put it back together. So this is actually the good engine. So I bought this engine on Facebook Marketplace. So that engine is no bueno, it's toast. And this engine is good. So we need to get this thing hooked up. We want to get this wrapped up today, but I think it's important to have a good workspace. And if you can't tell, Christmas destroyed my shop. So this is all Christmas decorations and whatnot. And we obviously packed them up after the holidays, and they just got thrown out here. So I'm gonna get these all wrapped up real quick, and then we are gonna tear into this 2012 Malibu that the Jiffy Lube killed, and we're gonna bring it back to life. So get ready. Okay, as you can see, got it cleaned up a little bit. Far from good, but good from far. So we will get to work. But as you can see by my tire, it is cold out here, and I got sniffly nose, so apologize for that. And we are gonna get cranking on this Malibu, bring it back to life. I'm making this way harder on myself than it needs to be. So I have this stool here for the things I can't reach, but what I need to do is I need to get underneath, and I need to button up everything that's not done under there. Oh, I just remembered. When I get under there, I'll show you. I'll be able to explain it better. But once I get everything underneath buttoned up, I can put it back on the wheels, set it down on the ground, and it'll be way easier to work on we're making really good headway. It probably doesn't look much different, but I promise stuff's getting done. And I'd like to show you guys how rotted and brittle this sleeve for the harness is. Just completely shot. And I mean, this isn't an old car. All of this harness sleeve, I don't know what you call it, is gone. I mean, it's just falling apart, cracking every time you touch it and bend it. So the air box hooks on right here, and it's like a beauty cover for the engine. And I think that traps a lot of heat in, and you get a lot of heat cycles on this stuff. Real quick before I jump under there, I wanted to show you guys this headlamp I got. This thing is sick. So I got this for Christmas, and I want to tell you why this is the best headlamp I've ever had. And it's because the batteries go in the back. So most headlamps, you got the battery and the light in one. Even if you get an LED one, they're still pretty heavy, having that battery right in the front. This is by far the best one, and you kind of get this right on the side here. You set your head down on a creeper, and it's not digging into the back of your head, and it's not weighing down your forehead. It's just awesome. Get you one if you work on cars or you camp, anything like that. If you need a headlamp, this is the one. All right, so bear with me a little bit because it's kind of tight down here, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So this hole, they need to go here and here. And when we pulled the engine out, this swung around. And we didn't notice that when we put it in, it swung around, and now it can't go back around. And being as it's just me, I do not want to pull the engine back out, and that I noticed it so late. So what we will be doing is now we could just take off the axle, but I actually do not have the right size socket for this axle. We're gonna drop some of these suspension components and get this knuckle to swing out some, and that will give us the room we need to spin that bracket around and get it bolted up the way it should be. I just filmed this whole thing with my phone vertical, and that's a no-no for YouTube. You need to have it horizontal. So let's try this again. Basically, I messed it up. I spilled transmission fluid all over the floor. I still couldn't get the bracket around. I found that I could have just unbolted the bracket from the bearing itself with the bearing cage and spin it around the entire time. So I just worked for I don't even know how long, and it was a big waste of time. But I got it figured out now, so we're putting it back together. I just have to get all this transmission fluid dried up. I got some kitty litter down, needs a lot more, so let me show you what's going on under there. All right, clean up on aisle 3. So I ripped my freaking axle boot too, like an idiot. Anyways, I had all this undone. You can see this bolt's still out. And once I got right here, I got that apart, and then boom, it slides out, and then it has enough play to get into position. But aside from that, my main issue was, you can see all this transmission fluid, and I was so concerned thinking that I could get it done, get it back together quickly, that I didn't even put a catch bucket down, and then look how much I got on the floor. And basically the big issue is once I got it flipped around and I got it in the right position, I could not for the life of me get the freaking axle back in. And there's no good way to put force on it. There's no good way to push it in there. And keep in mind, I don't have this size socket, so I couldn't take the half shaft. I don't know if that's what this is called, but there's like two drive shafts. There's one that's rigidly mounted, and then there's one with CVs. So I basically couldn't get that out of the knuckle, so I couldn't put direct force into the axle into the transmission. So it's just dripping, and I can't get it in. Finally, I just freaking kicked the hub. I held the axle up so that it was lined up straight with this thing. I just propped this under it, and then I just turned around and gave it a big heel kick and popped it in, and finally it freaking went. So now I am essentially right back where I was before I tried to fix anything. So it's seems to be a common occurrence with me. I try to fix stuff and I break it, but not for long, because we're learning every day. So I'm gonna get this all buttoned up, and then I'll probably have to call it a day. I got some stuff to do, and I don't want to work under here with all this transmission fluid. So sometimes things don't go as planned, and things don't go so smoothly as you think they will, but you got to go into every situation ready for the worst, but expect the best. That way you're not discouraged going into a project thinking, man, am I going to be able to do this? Do I know how to do this? Because you can learn. You can always learn. So, all right, I'm going to get back to work. Catch you in a bit. Well, guys, turn the light off. We got a lot of work done, but we did not get it finished. And I decided I was going to keep working, but we have 2 bolts left. And these are the bolts that hold up the catalytic converter and hold it in place up to the exhaust manifold. And I realized I don't have an exhaust manifold gasket. So we will have to take a break, and I actually have to go run some errands, so I'm going to go ahead and get that manifold gasket while I am in town. But we got pretty much all of the electrical connections done up top. We got everything bolted up underneath. We got that axle bearing carrier thingy. We got that back where it should be. We got all our coolant lines on. A few other things to button up, and we will be firing this baby up. So I'm making sure to do my due diligence and make sure that this project is done right and it's back together the way it should be, because a good longtime friend of mine is getting this car, and he's been having some vehicle trouble lately. He has a young son, so he needs a nice, safe, reliable car to drive around and keep his kid safe. So that's what this is gonna be. He's intending on buying it once we get it together. And then we need to do some maintenance on it because it has been sitting a long time. As you can see down here, those brakes are very rusty. We might be able to resurface those rotors and keep them because he is on a tight budget, and we want to get this done for him as cheaply as possible because that passes the savings on to him. And as soon as this one is moved, that means we're on to the Z, and that's going to be some fun stuff. We're going to be tearing into the engine in that. If I have one suggestion to you guys, it's if you tear into something, just stick it out and finish it. Make the time, get it done. That's what I'm doing now, and I wish I would have done it a long time ago. I think that's going to be a wrap for today. I appreciate all you guys watching. I know most of you right now are probably my friends or family, but it means a lot. You all who know me well know that I like to just do a bunch of random stuff, whatever piques my interest, and making these videos and uploading them is something that I'm really excited about doing. So I hope that you enjoy, and until next time, have a good day.